Come on in, sit right down. Keep your hands up, keep your chin down. Shut the door, time to go with Randy Harris and Knockout Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, Knockout Radio with Randy Harris is about to start. So get ready for the best MMA talk, games, interviews, prizes, and surprises anywhere. For Knockout Radio, I'm the voice, Ray Flores, and you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Ray Flores MMA, or facebook.com/Ray Flores MMA. And now, here's Knockout Radio.
Hey-o. Hey, everybody.
I swear to God, you're like a professional.
Who?
You.
Professional what?
No, I'm saying it's like
hit the post.
You get in the studio with 8 seconds to go.
I don't want to talk to you guys any more than I have to.
You put the headphones on with a second and a half to go. We're all sitting here for 5 minutes ready to go.
Right. Well, usually, I mean, shit, we usually start 15 minutes late.
True.
I thought I had plenty of time.
That's true.
What do you want me in here to talk to you guys beforehand?
Are you okay, by the way? Everything all right?
I'm always good.
No, I'm just saying, I know he's excited about last night's game. You're probably pissed from 2 nights ago.
But he's excited.
We're back
for
at it tonight.
Right.
We're back. It's a long series. My Blackhawks need a win tonight. Can't go down 3-1. That's no good.
Again.
No bueno. Again, yeah. They had no coming back from this one.
Well, after last night, there's coming back from almost anything.
Yeah. Last night's game
It
was
was insane.
some great final stuff.
Ins-
You know what the best part was?
The people leaving?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Miami. The best. I love the fact, I'm sure you guys have read the stories and stuff, but a story on Deadspin that had a Vine video showing everyone
I saw the
dumping
video.
out. And then one of the outside reporters who was doing his stand-up talking about how the moronic fans were pounding on the doors
To get in.
and then like causing a ruckus because they paid good money for their ticket, this and that. Like, no, pal, that's the deal. That's you dip, you're done, you're gone. See ya.
It says on the ticket.
Right there. Yeah.
Once you're in, that's it.
You don't get your
that's
hand
so
stamped?
great. Oh, yeah. No hand stamps.
Yeah.
No leaving to go outside, get drunk at the bars, like they used to do at the Swamp, and come back in. No, you're gone. You're gone. Hope you had a good night.
How is everybody?
Great.
It's been a
Hanging in
whole
there.
week, a lot of stuff to get to, some interesting stuff. I'm a little ticked off because I just went, as I got ready for the program, I did a couple real quick things. What's that mean?
Get ready.
You said got ready.
Yeah, like you got ready for the program.
I did get ready. I've done a little bit, not much, but a little bit of research.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple interesting interviews coming up. First and foremost, in about 2.5, 3 minutes, Ryan Bader coming on to talk about his charity event, which I will be in attendance for.
Oh, boy.
In July.
Giving up back rubs.
It's a celebrity waiter kind of thing, so we're going to talk to Ryan about that.
Food's involved. And
Of
Randy's
course.
there.
So what I did was I spoke to Matt Hamill's manager about 10 minutes ago because he's been in contact with Joe Silva, and I'm going to get to my point here in a second.
Please do.
So
We have 2 hours.
Yeah.
so I can take my time?
Yeah, don't rush
so I can
it.
take my time. So I asked Gerard, which is Matt Hamill's new manager, have you heard from Joe Silva yet? What's going on? And he said, no, that Joe's kind of, looking for an opponent. And I said, well, does Matt have anybody in mind?
Call him out. Make it easy for him.
Well, exactly. So
This isn't rocket science.
So Gerard said, no, not really. And then he said that he's looking at, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that in the rankings, which I'm not even so sure Matt Hamill, who is a friend of mine, deserves. But we're going to get to that after our first interview. On the phone with us right now, who happens to be in the top 10, our good friend, Ryan Bader. Ryan, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
First and foremost, how are you doing after last night? Your partner in crime, Mike Miller in the Heat, you doing okay today?
That was crazy, huh? Yeah, I was watching that game, and I couldn't believe it. That's if they come back and win it, this is unbelievable game, unbelievable series, and for them to do that, they really deserve it.
We kind of talked about at the top of the hour, Ryan. The best part of the whole thing was the Heat fans that left and then tried to get back in the building when the game was close and then in overtime.
They should know better, especially with the Heat and LeBron and those guys. With that close of a game, it looked like it was done, but still, you got to stay there. They make things happen, and you saw it last night with crazy threes at the end is just I was watching. I thought it was done, but I continue to watch because they have that factor of just being able to make it happen, and they ended up doing it.
But not only that, like if you're a fan at a championship deciding, don't you have to stick around for the trophy presentation? And as much as it sucks, like
you're at the finals. Yeah, what do you? I don't get people leaving, even if it's not the team you wanted to win.
Yeah, I sat in the rain at a Super Bowl and watched my Chicago Bears get it handed to them by the Colts.
No, you didn't. And sat for the Prince concert.
And that. and I left, or I wanted to leave, and my wife was with me, God bless her, and she's like, well, I'd like to stay. I don't get to see the trophy stuff. And I'm like, you know what, you're right, I'm an idiot. So we sat there and took it. But we have more important things to talk about, Ryan.
You sat through
Real quick, Randy, not to throw you under the bus, but how many times have you left a big game?
Well, Ryan, let's get into it. Let's talk about July 5th. A pretty cool event, but something that I think you and I are both familiar with because we've attended an event similar to this in Nashville. Talk to us about what's going on at the Capitol Grill, July 5th in Las Vegas, kind of during the UFC Fan Expo.
Yeah, so I've been working, with the troops for a while. The last one we did, we had a charity event down here and donated $10,000 to Wounded Warriors, but also wanted to make, to see something as far as where our money is going and do something unique for them. And so, my Chicago fight, we took 6 Wounded Warriors to the event, front row, or floor seats, You got to eat dinner. I couldn't eat that night because I was weighing in, but they got to eat with Chris Weidman and Gray Maynard and all them. And so it was a kind of unique experience for them. And so we wanted to continue that going. And through one of our sponsors, American Ethanol, they work with Kurt Busch, and is a NASCAR driver, and he in turn works with Armed Forces Foundation. So we decided to team up with them, and on July 5th, we're actually at the Capitol Grill in Las Vegas during the Fight Week Expo and the fights on that weekend. We're doing a little dinner where all the fighters are your waiters, and you get to harass us, and we'll serve you your food. All goes to the Armed Forces Foundation. Sorry, and I'm getting little kids are running up over here. I'm at the gym.
Now, will you be able to this time, Ryan, or no?
What's that?
Will you actually be able to eat this time?
Oh, I'll be able to eat this time for sure. And so we'll have fun there. It's at the Capitol Grill, and their head chef is there. He's making crab cakes, all the entrees, and all that kind of good stuff. And I'll be there. Martin Kampman, Gray Maynard, Eddie Wineland, Mike Miller, a bunch of the other guys like Aaron Simpson and all that. So it'll be a good event, and we want to raise as much money as we can and give back to the foundation. And you're there at the expo. There's no better way to give to the foundation and meet the fighters, and we'll be there all night mingling and having fun. So it's a kind of a unique experience.
Anybody that's ever listened to this program or knows me personally knows the two things that I feel the strongest about: the military and food. And putting these two things together, I'm going to be there, and I know that you saw the tweet. I'm going to bring a stack of tickets for Saturday's attendance at the UFC Fan Expo, and I'm just going to kind of walk. I'm going to kind of walk around and walk different tables and kind of just go up to somebody and say, "Hey, are you going tomorrow?" And if they say no, and I'm going to say,
that's not how that's not how it's going to go. It's how it's going to go, Ryan. Just so you know.
Give me the crab cake.
Yeah. You are you going to eat that crab cake? Would you trade your crab cake for a ticket to tomorrow's event? You barter everything. So
that's a smart move, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that crab cakes, a fillet, with a porcini rub, you'll be working something out of the deal.
Now, I don't want to cut into Ryan's interview, but just to correct you, Derek, the difference is I'm not doing that because I know all of the waiters. Mm-hmm. So I don't need to barter the tickets because the waiters are going to keep me well fed.
Yeah, it's never enough.
We'll slide them a couple crab cakes under the table, keep them happy. So, yeah, appreciate that. Get in there, and then you also get some expo tickets. I'm sure those aren't cheap, and get to go in there and see the other fighters that you didn't see Friday night.
It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. How do people that are listening through MMA Weekly, through Radio IO, through Knockout Radio, through the internet sites, how do they get information? How do they get tickets? Do they buy tickets now? Do they do them at the door? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I would recommend, there's limited seating, so I would get tickets now. I don't want, you can still show up for, at the door, and there might be some left, but, I don't want it to be sold out and then them showing up and be, getting turned away. So the easiest way to get it is through armedforcesfoundation.org. You click on events, and it's the first flyer that pops up. You'll see me on this flyer, and it says get tickets now. So armedforcesfoundation.org, and then go under events, and it'll be there to get tickets. And individual tickets, you can get group tickets. All the money goes to the foundation. We're going to have those fighters there. Great food. It'll be a good time. We'll be hanging out after, having a few drinks, and mingling, all that kind of good stuff.
Now, on the website or on your website, will there be, and again, scheduled to change, but will there be a list of who the celebrity waiters are going to be? Because a lot of times people like to know that before they show up. Yeah,
we're going to get that out pretty soon here. We're just confirming on exactly who's going to be there, and there's going to be a lot in town, so we're trying to grab a bunch more to come to the event, and the UFC's been promoting it and everything too, so should be a good event, and I'm excited for it, and it's a good way for me to give back. And like I said, we were doing stuff with the Wounded Warriors Foundation now to help out the Armed Forces Foundation. It's least I could do.
It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. That's coming up July 5th, just before the big fight on Saturday. But before we let you go, I wasn't going to talk a whole lot about your other job, your day job, but how are you doing? Was there rehab? Is there rehab? And when will you be ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready now. I'm 100% now. So it was an MCL injury, and it actually took a little longer than expected. I kept wanting to get back in there, but I just could tell if I got on the ground, I'd have to start over again. With that injury, it would just re-injure it for sure. So I did a bunch of rehab, and last couple of weeks I've been going 100%. So we let Joe Silva know that I'm ready to go, and I'm getting back in good shape where I need to be right now, and looking forward to it. It sucks being out, and it's been having those, being healthy throughout the year and fighting consistently, and then have a little break. Kind of weirded me out a little bit, so I'm back training full go, and can't wait for the next one.
Is there anybody that kind of interests you? Is there somebody that you would like, to go up against? And the reason I'm asking is I was talking earlier, and I mentioned it at the top of the show, to Matt Hamill's new agent. He was kind of saying he's talking to Joe Silva, and they're looking at, and how do you guys decide what's best for you? Because with Matt being out of the top 10, you're in the top 10. He's trying to fight somebody in the top 10, but of course you want to fight somebody higher than you in the top 10. So how does that all play out?
Yeah, it's weird. Well, looking now, pretty much everybody's booked right now for, or just recently fought. And so for us, yeah, it's just kind of you definitely want to fight guys up there in the rankings stuff. But Matt Hamill's a beast. He's been around forever, and I'd love to fight him too. Purely out of respect. I've been watching him for a while. We've met several times. The nicest guy in the world. But I've always wanted to fight him. Someday, or looking into the future when I was coming off the Ultimate Fighter and all that. So for me, really, I just want to get a fight right now. Honestly, looking at the different fighters and trying to map out your path, it's almost like who cares right now? Let's just get a fight, get in there, and get after it, and that's where my mind's at right now. So right now, it's just about as much as I know. We as far as Joe Silva and who they're going to match us up with next, and so everybody has fights and or just got off a fight. So it's really just kind of that waiting game.
Ryan, as always, on short notice, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Vegas in July. The event's going to be awesome. It's for a great cause. We'll continue to push it on Twitter. We'll continue to push it on the show. And I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
That's Ryan Bader. If you'd like to pick up the phone and touch base on what he said or some of the things we're going to touch on, 855-483-6646.
I'm not touching on anything. Not in this room. Not with this group.
Awkward moment.
Mm-hmm. What are you looking at there, Randy?
Just waiting for Frank
for that?
Yeah.
You waiting for that?
I'm waiting for Frank.
Yeah. Nah.
No.
You can keep waiting.
No.
No.
Not going to happen.
No. I knew it was coming. That's why I made my weak joke.
I am Salties.
Can you imagine Salties? Imagine a place that becomes something absolutely unforgettable.
Sustainable seafood from icy waters of the Pacific Northwest.
Salties is sweet coconut-crusted prawns.
Salties is live Dungeness crab.
The finest USDA prime steak.
With perfectly paired wine.
Your life is our celebration.
Your table is waiting at Salties.
Go to salties.com and make your reservation today. Salties, Alki Beach, Redondo Beach, and Columbia River.
I was going to ask Ryan if, like in the Nashville event, you can pay guys a little extra money to have them sing or have them do some things. Have them pay some money and have those guys do some really silly, stupid.
They supposed to be Pacquiao now?
They can be whatever.
Fighters and singers?
Great singers.
All right. So what I was getting at when I said that I did my 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 2 hours of research, the fact that Gerard mentioned that Matt Hamill wanted somebody, 8, 9, 10. So I jumped on the fighter rankings just to kind of look, and Ryan Bader's sitting, 9-ish, 10-ish, something like that.
Oh, so you're trying to stir it up.
No, this is the thing, and it pisses me off.
That's the thing.
And it pisses me off, and I know you're going to say it's rankings. You don't care. The rankings are stupid. I checked out the rankings on some of the weight classes. Tell me if this makes any damn sense. In the heavyweight division, Roy Nelson dropped to number 7.
Okay.
Stipe is at 8.
Nope.
Whoa.
To answer your question, it does not make sense.
It doesn't.
No.
Now, I know that I've said to you guys on numerous, occasions that I look at not only what they've done and who they've done, but would they beat that fighter?
What were the prior rankings?
Oh, I don't know. I don't care.
I don't think.
Stipe was not ranked.
wasn't in.
Yeah.
He was not ranked.
And Roy was probably higher than 7.
He was
I don't care.
5th.
I don't care.
Yeah.
When the two just fought, how do you rank Roy Nelson above the guy that just beat him and beat him soundly?
I was just about to say, and beat him convincingly. I mean, he gave Roy the business for 3 rounds. Just handled him. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I'm baffled.
Which is why I don't get worked up over
said
rankings.
Just like college football rankings, it's the same thing.
Doesn't matter.
You know what you're getting yourself into, so there's no reason to.
You have the same arguments every year, every time people are pissing and moaning, and that's why I don't. That's why I don't get worked up.
One lost to 15, but 15 lost to unranked, and unranked beat 12.
And all I understand all that, and that's all the stuff that's going to come into play down the road. This hasn't, you haven't. These are two guys that just fought.
No.
I just have a problem with the guy that just fought and just beat Roy. And we all think, at least I think we all think, that Roy's a great fighter and Roy's this and Roy's that. It doesn't matter. Roy lost.
Well, getting back to Sean's point, I mean, he does bring up a good point for once that in college football, the number 1 team might lose to the number 20 ranked team. They drop down to 3, 20 climbs up to 15. They're still behind them, and they might have lost convincingly.
That's a huge jump from unranked to 8.
Yeah, it's a big jump. It's rankings. It doesn't matter. Line them up,
and it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
I understand. I understand, and I understand that it's also this is why they did it. So that
you still get the red ass.
I'm routed. Here's another one.
What about the fact that you upset that Roy technically isn't under contract right now? He's ranked in the UFC.
And I thought about that. I thought about
to me
not
that's
ranking
almost
him.
the bigger thing.
I thought about not ranking him because he's not a signed UFC fighter.
He's not under contract.
I did think about that.
Yeah.
And
to me, that's a bigger thing to drop him out than anything. Is he's not one of their
a
fighters.
UFC fighter.
Yeah, he's not one of their fighters. If he signs a contract, then you can rework it.
Didn't Chael say that he does not have a contract? Something along those lines, or was that Chael being Chael?
It's I want to be.
It's hard to tell.
I want to be real careful because I've talked a lot about Chael. I like Chael. I like the stuff Chael's talking about. I like when Chael talks crap. But now, and it's not because it's LeBron, because I really don't care about LeBron. But now he's making comments that LeBron pushed a kid in a wheelchair out of the way. And
hey, kid probably put up a little resistance.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Wheels.
He slammed the brakes on the wheelchair so he couldn't be pushed out of the way or something. But here's another one.
Technically, someone's pushing that kid in the wheelchair all day.
It was his mom.
Yeah. Well, it was his mom.
What a jerk, huh? She's a real jerk. She pushed him around all day.
So, yes.
She pushed him into LeBron's way.
Yeah, into LeBron's way. But I do think that it is
Those
Chael being Chael.
knees.
But here's another one with Chael in the rankings. Chael ranked number 9, which at first I think is wrong in middleweight. I don't care where you rank him if you're ranking in light heavy, but in middleweight, I believe.
You talk a lot about rankings for not caring about rankings.
It's not that I don't care about it. I think rankings are cool. What I don't care about, or what I'm not happy about, is how some of these are being ranked. How do you rank Michael Bisping ahead of Chael Sonnen when Chael's only lost to Anderson in middleweight?
Yeah.
I just don't think people are really thinking about this stuff when they do it. And I know this is going to shock you to my right. I know this is going to shock you to my left. I know it's going to shock you directly in front of me, who's all staring at me. I put some thought into this when I do it.
Yeah, that's where you screw up.
I guess so.
Why?
Click and send.
I don't.
I mean, honestly, like, why? Why are you putting thought into it? What does it mean?
Because, again, I know, shocking. If I'm going to put my name to it, I want to kind of put some thought into it. I don't want to just go, Anderson's number 1, Chris Weidman's number 2, blah, blah. I want to look at who fought who beat who, as long as it's recent. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody beats somebody, in the case of, we'll say Burkman and
Fitch.
It was so long ago, and we're going to talk about that fight in a minute. It was so long ago, it really doesn't matter. But it does matter. If you're going to put your name on it, spend a couple minutes, and how you could possibly fathom to send the rankings in the very night or possibly the next day, because it's due in by Monday, I think at 8 a.m., and have the guy who just lost ahead of the guy who just beats you.
Right.
I think, just like Mazzagatti, you should lose your right to vote. Just like Mazzagatti should lose his right, to ref.
That's a segue, I guess.
Yeah, was that a segue too, Mr. Mazzagatti?
Sure.
Was he reffing? I know.
He was there.
I texted you.
Yeah, he wasn't.
You said there was a horrible job of reffing or whatever. I said, was he reffing?
Speaking of that, and we will talk about it.
He looked like he was just a spectator. Yeah.
The ref of that fight will be on 7:30 today.
The ref of what fights?
The ref of the Burkman fight will be on this program at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Was he outside the ring?
Burkman.
No, Berkman.
Berkman?
Yeah, Berkman.
He was the one that stopped the fight.
He was the one who finally called an end to it. That's for sure.
Just awful.
That was awful. I mean, that was. I mean, I know Mazzagatti catches shit from Dana a lot, and has caught it from other people, but that was just god awful. When you watch that, he's not even in. He's not even looking at the choke. When that goes down to the ground, like he's not. He doesn't go in until Burkman is standing up, arm in victory over Fitch, and then he's oh yeah, maybe I should.
Yeah, Burkman had already called his shot. Yeah, it's over.
Yeah,
I won.
Yeah, he stood.
That's a good call.
He hit his pose. Yeah. He looked like The Rock hitting the pose on the corner. Arm up, victory. Oh yeah, now I'll move away. That was embarrassing.
Something should be done by the boxing commissions where when things like this happen, and I don't even think you should fine them. I think you should.
No, you got to pull them.
You got to pull them.
Yeah.
Where they lose paychecks.
That's the only thing that matters.
A couple months.
That's the only thing that matters.
Mazzagatti can't ref in the state of Nevada. And again, hopefully that they'll all kind of like, they do. You can't ref for 4 months. Let him lose. Let food not be put on the plate for his family. He could have gotten a guy killed.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this, and back in the Joe Marquis days, you don't let go of things until the ref stops it.
Right. I mean, that's the rule.
That's the rule.
That's what you know going in, and that's why he is there.
Exactly. Exactly.
You apply your craft until it's over, until the assigned official says that's enough.
And Berkman would have been well within his right to keep the
choke on.
There.
That's. I mean, and to me, that's the craziest
to do it, Dan
thing.
Henderson.
It's not even. It's not like Mazzagatti was crowbarring him off or was saying pulling him off. Like Mazzagatti wasn't even in on it. It's not like he was late. He wasn't even at the dance. He was just standing there until Burkman rolled over Fitch, stood up, put his arm in the air in victory, and then that was the sign for Mazzagatti to say, "Oh, maybe Fitch
I guess
is
it's
in
over.
trouble." Yeah.
I guess it's over. That was the worst thing of the night on the World Series of Fighting. The second worst
was Jon Fitch's performance.
No, even I believe worse than Jon Fitch's performance was the fact that Jon Fitch called out Burkman to fight for the title.
Oh, I openly laughed.
That was comical.
Yeah, I DVR'd that fight and watched it the next day, and I didn't see anything on Twitter. So the surprise, it was surprising to me how that fight ended so quick, how it ended, all that stuff, and then to hear that interview after where Fitch says, "Yeah, we'd like to do it again." I get that rubber match. They each have a win.
Sure.
Okay, cool. I'm fine with that.
No, I understand.
He's within his right to say,
absolutely.
We each got one win. But then to say to have the title on the line, what?
You would think that he has been in the game, that Jon Fitch has been in the game long enough that the proper thing would have been to say, hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah.
Hopefully our paths will cross again.
Yeah.
One on the way up. You just lost.
And convincingly, quick. In
41 seconds.
41 seconds, and you were put to sleep. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it was, a flash submission, which happens sometimes, hits the ground, guys bounce funny, all of a sudden, oh, hey, look, I have an arm. He got rocked by a punch, almost out on his feet, and then worked it into a submission. Both sides of the game, he got damaged in.
I got to backtrack about 26 minutes because I like to always lay it out so people know who's coming on the program.
Oh, that's good.
But we got right into this so quickly. In about 5 minutes, we're going to go and talk to the next Ultimate Fighter coach, who was going to be on last week, and we had some difficulties. Kyle Noke is going to be on as Australia takes on Canada. So that's coming up in a few minutes. Then some guy, you might have heard him. He's been in a movie or two. His TV show starts tonight. He's in the UFC Hall of Fame. Randy Couture will be on a couple minutes past the hour at 7 o'clock. And he's out there at Spike. I know, Sean, you want to talk about Spike, and we're going to get into that. The TV show tonight's big battles. Then we needed to throw a bone to Derek. So Norbert Hudak will be back on tonight. So we will talk a little WWE action. The best of In Your House.
Oh.
Do you remember those back in the day?
Do I? Yeah, and I have cable bills to prove it. Or I should say my parents do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And this is back from 95 to 99. It was about a 4.5-year run of pay-per-views. So we're going to have some of those to give out. Recently released in May. So they're still, about a month old. So we'll be hooking you up with that. And then the future governor of coming back on, and that's Josh Burkman.
He's reffing.
He's
fighting. He's doing it all.
Going to be a congressman. He's going to do all that kind of stuff. So Josh Burkman, about 7:30 or so next hour. So now that I threw that out, like I said, about 27 minutes late to kind of lay the program down. Thoughts on the entire card last Saturday night? We really should go to World Series of Fighting first. Thoughts on that?
It was Friday. I wasn't overly impressed. I worked my way through it. I have to be honest on DVR. Nothing really stood out. I was interested in the main event. It didn't really do anything for me. Again, it gives me the feel of a one-off show, and I like to know what I'm watching for. Are there title implications? Are there further down the line matchups? And I just don't get that yet with World Series of Fighting, and I walked away just kind of shrugging, saying, okay. That was it. So
let me ask you, if there isn't a title on the line, if there's not title implications down the road, do you watch it differently? Do you not watch? You do watch it differently?
It's funny. I do. I have a hard time watching even, the Facebook fights and some of the prelim fights on the UFC programming. It's not just against World Series of Fighting. I'll keep an eye on them for up-and-coming fighters, things like that, but I'll be the first one to admit, I'm not writing down everything, or I'm not completely hanging on to what they do. I do like there to be a little more at stake for me to watch.
Then we'll go past World Series of Fighting. Let's look at, because to be honest, I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I fell asleep, and I woke up as Burkman was entering the cage, and I went back to sleep 2 minutes later.
Yeah. You and Jon Fitch.
Yeah, exactly. I think I woke up a little bit quicker than he did. Thoughts on Saturday?
The main event?
No, anything stick out?
Yeah, the Roy fight.
I was going to say the co-main event stuck out more.
The co-main to me really had the most on the line. I thought that had a great build-up with Roy and his contract coming to an end, and I thought Dana leading up to the fight was very honest and blunt about where they stood and what's kind of brought them to that point. This is going to sound crazy now, and I know this, but I didn't think Roy looked good.
Not at all.
Entering the cage.
Not at all.
There have been some fights where, granted, he's a big guy and he has a gut, but he's at least shown, I don't want to say muscle, Because he's obviously, I mean, he's not muscular, but like there was some.
He's doughy.
He's doughy, but he looked in better shape than what he looked at. What he entered the ring.
Overlook him?
Did he over? I don't know. You know, reading his comments and hearing his comments, it sounded like maybe taking the short notice fight, he peaked already in his camp for I think it was Congo was his last fight, and he just couldn't hit that stride. But that's his gamble again.
Yep.
That, we talk about. There's one thing going into a fight being your last fight and you need to win, but there's a big difference between that and saying I'm not going to sign an extension. I'm going to even take my last fight on short notice. I mean, that's really up in the odds against yourself, and it didn't work out.
He lost.
Yeah, he looked horrible.
What do you think happens to Roy Nelson now? I mean, most of his bargaining chips are now gone. I don't think that he was going to make anywhere near the kind of money, and I don't know what money these guys make, but going to one of these other organizations with a loss now, I don't think he can go. I think he's got anywhere.
Well, he could go to Spike. He could fight for Bellator, and I'm sure he could put a mask on, maybe get a tag team partner.
He'd have a title shot
TNA,
tonight,
right?
If he goes to Spike, he has a title shot tonight.
I mean, why not, right?
Everyone else does. So
I think his options are still there. He still has knockout power. He's still a good fighter. His price for Zuffa and Dana obviously dropped
tremendously.
Yeah,
tremendously. So now they come back and they say this, and it's going to be percentages of what I'm sure was offered before.
Well, Wegs and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if you remember. Big Country's comments in the Kevin Iole did a story about Big Country and Dana's relationship, and Roy was like, "Well, we're not bartenders. There's so few people that do what I do." He really valued himself as such a unique commodity. Where now, there's cards all the time, and he is, but they put on a lot of cards. They're looking to cut fighters. A lot of people are dying to be in that program.
We'll continue talking about last week, but let's look ahead. Let's look ahead to the next Ultimate Fighter. And I like I like anything when it's us against you or country versus country and that kind of stuff because it's more on the line, I think. But I don't know. I'm not a coach and I'm not a fighter. But let's go talk to one of the coaches of the next Ultimate Fighter, Australia versus Canada, Kyle Noke. Kyle, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
We appreciate your time. Talk to us how this whole thing went down and how you got the phone call to be the next coach on the Ultimate Fighter.
Sure. I wasn't expecting it. I wanted the job, but I wasn't expecting it. And I got the call for UFC that I got the job, and I was excited, surprised anyone, but I'm looking forward to it.
Now, was this something that you knew was coming, that you were in play for? For a coaching spot, or did it kind of come out of nowhere? I know you said you wanted it, but was this something that they floated to you and said, hey, we have this idea, Canada, Australia, and you might be one of the guys?
Not really. I had a hunch I might be one of the guys because, coming from Australia, there's not many of us in the UFC, so, the picking's kind of small, but, I was hoping for the job, and I thought they might pick me, but I never knew. No one ever floated it by me first that, hey, you might get it, or we're thinking about you. I just got a phone call and said, you got the job.
Kyle, let me ask you this. And a lot of times, obviously it's hard to ask a question before it even happens, but is there going to be more pressure put on you? Is there going to be more whatever because it's your country? You're now representing your country. It's not just you're getting in a cage and representing yourself or your team.
I think there's a little bit of added pressure by representing your country, but, at the end of the day, for the show's filming, it's basically the guys that have to perform on me. I'm going to go in there and teach them and show them what I can and have a great staffing coach with me. But, it's up to these guys to actually perform on the show. So, the pressure's more on them guys.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying about the coaching, but after it's all done, you and Patrick Cote are then going to get in a cage. And that's kind of what I was saying, that it's still the coach of Australia versus the coach of Canada.
Oh, I think there's a little added pressure there, but for me, it's just like every other fight. I'm not going to let that bother me. I know I've got a job and I'm going to get out there and do it. But, I think if I sat down and looked at it, thought about it a lot, it would get to me. So, I just try and be smart about it, have a strong mental game, and not even let that pressure worry me.
Now, maybe I'm missing something. Is there a rivalry? Is there a built-in rivalry between Australia and Canada? Or is this just two countries that they put together, and now we'll be starting a rivalry with this show?
Not that I know. I don't know any rivalry between Canada and Australia, but, if it helps get some young Australians in the UFC, I'm sure we could come up with something.
Well, there we go. We're going to start one.
Kyle, where is filming going to be shot? Is it in Vegas?
You know what? I haven't been told yet. I'm still waiting to find out like everybody else. So, I hope it's in Australia because it'll be something, summertime, beaches, something like that. It'd be good to me.
Then we need to send all the media down to go cover it in Australia. that would definitely work. Have you started to think about coaching? Meaning, have you watched some of the? I know you've probably already watched Ultimate Fighters, but I'm saying, are you going to go back and kind of watch it to see how certain guys have done certain things, or are you going to just do it all in your own style?
Not really. No, I think I'm just going to do it my own style. I've had some great coaching down here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with Greg Jackson and Mr. Winklejohn. And a few of that, being on the show myself and having a lot of teammates being on the show, I think as far as the show aspect's concerned, I've got that part covered. So it's just learning from what Greg and Mr. Winklejohn told me and trying to apply that to the new kids that are coming in for the show.
Now, this is going to be your second run with The Ultimate Fighter. You, of course, were a participant in TUF 11 in 2010. Do you feel that being a former participant and competitor in TUF allows you or affords you any sort of added experience and advantage going in as a coach this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing how the house works and how the fighters feel at certain points in the show, I think it's going to be an advantage for me. They're saying that Patrick Cote's also been on the show, so he understands it fully as well. But we can both pass that knowledge on what we've learned and our experience of the show and pass it on to the guys that are coming in. So I think it works out well for everyone.
How many guys from Albuquerque have already kind of pulled you aside and said, hey, listen, if it's being filmed in Australia, I want to go along as a coach?
I think every one of them.
Yeah, I'm sure there'd be no shortage of volunteers.
I think when they heard, I had to get through a barrage of people just to get to the gym and train.
There you have it. Any idea if they told you when filming will start?
All I've heard is towards the end of the year. There's been nothing specific told to me yet. I'm still waiting to find out the exact details. But I don't mind. I'm ready for any time, anywhere.
All right, I guess really the important question for you, Kyle, you are going to be the next coach on The Ultimate Fighter. Guys have gotten cars. Guys have gotten, I think, Hummers. Matt Hughes got the John Deere tractor. Have you put your request in on what you want for coaching?
No, I haven't even thought about it, to be honest with you. I don't know what they'll give me. Hopefully they'll give me something, but I'll be happy with nothing. I'll be happy just helping some young guys from Australia get in the UFC and follow their dreams. But, if Dana's going to give me something, then maybe I'd like a Audi R8 or a helicopter or something. I don't know.
Or a helicopter. That's quite the jump.
That is awesome.
Hey, you might as well take a swing at it, right? What's the worst they say? No, and you're back at the same spot. No helicopter.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Kyle. Exactly. I know your management team, and I'm going to forward this interview to them, and they'll forward it to Dana, and we'll try to get that helicopter for you.
All right, that'd be cool. I can just zip around town in a helicopter.
There you go.
In traffic.
Talk to us real quick about, I know you're on Twitter. I know you're involved with Twitter. Talk to us a little bit about your involvement and how much you enjoy talking to the fans on Twitter.
I really like it. It's a great way for us to connect with the fans out there. I think that's what's great about our sport is, especially athletes, UFC athletes, we're really accessible to the fans. And a lot of us respond. I think it's great for the sport, and it's great for me to talk to people out there and respond as much as I can.
I was going to say, when you get the helicopter, I want to go for a ride with you, but first I need to make sure who the pilot's going to be.
I'm going to be the pilot all the way.
Yeah, then we might stick on the ground on that one. Yeah.
Exactly.
You have fun with the helicopter.
I've flown a helicopter in video games before. It couldn't be any different than that.
There you go. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Oh, beautiful. Kyle, thank you very much for your time, and let's touch base once filming is all done.
No problem at all. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. That is your next Ultimate Fighter coach, Kyle Noke. If you have some information or you want to talk more about it, 855-483-6646.
Celebrate your passion for the Ultimate Fighting Championship at the UFC Fan Expo, presented by Fox Sports 1 on Friday and Saturday, July 5th and 6th at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. Meet your favorite fighters and industry icons. Attend special Q&A sessions and keynote addresses. Train with legends of the sport. Participate in grappling and fitness challenges, and so much more. UFC Fan Expo, presented by Fox Sports 1 in Las Vegas, July 5th and 6th. The Ultimate Fan Experience. Tickets and exhibitor space available now at UFCFanExpo.com.
All right, Sean, I know you want to talk about Bellator, tonight's event, the
summer series.
The summer series. But before we get to Bellator, I just want to throw this one thing out. Have you guys heard, give me your opinion on the state of Massachusetts and that them now throwing a wrench in, and I don't know if it would really be a wrench, it would be what's right, making all fighters that are going to fight on that card have a Social Security number.
I can't believe, was this not in place before?
I guess.
Do other places not do this?
It was. The last time the UFC had an event in Massachusetts, it was just a couple months after this law had come down. So I don't know
they already had it lined up.
They already had it, but I don't know why this wasn't such a big deal, at least for that time, I guess. Because now Massachusetts is sticking to their guns.
And they should.
Absolutely.
I mean, if it's a law, it's a law. But, I mean, does anyone else have this statute? Or, who doesn't have Social Security numbers?
Doesn't matter.
I'm so naive. I didn't know foreigners don't have Social Security numbers?
Correct. At least
tax identification numbers is what we give them.
Okay.
TIN number.
And that's what it's for. The whole object of Massachusetts is saying for taxes, and it is what it is.
Right.
If you're going to go up to the state of Massachusetts, you got to pay state tax and federal tax.
It's just unbelievable the amount of pre-work and things that go on before even agreeing, before even signing up with the Garden where they're or the TD Waterhouse, whatever they call it now, before even signing paperwork to not have this issue squared away. That's what shocked the hell out of me. I saw a couple things popping up on Twitter. Like, nah, you got to be kidding me. You don't get an event, there isn't pulled at this point for a legal reason. Maybe you guys get injured or whatever, but something that's on the books that you should know clearly going in.
But I guess it also depends on who you're talking to, because UFC is saying it's not a big deal. They're going to have it all worked out. But I guess this report from Boston Herald, they were the ones that started saying, well, there is an issue. UFC has been told about it. They have said that they've tried to get around it, petitioning for an exemption.
UFC 118 was the first fight in Boston.
Yeah.
There were 3 non-Americans on that card.
Well, they just didn't get paid, so then they moved on.
No, they got paid. The problem with the state of Massachusetts is the state didn't get paid.
Right. Therein lies the rub.
The government didn't get paid.
Yeah, they don't like that.
So it'll be interesting how that plays out. All right, on Spike TV, starting, I believe it's at 8. Well, it's already going on, but then it goes on Spike at 8, and then the TV show comes on, I believe, at 10 o'clock. But you have some opinions, Sean.
I just some weird things after looking at it. The light heavyweight summer tournament starts tonight with Babalu Sobral and Jacob Noe.
Right.
And then your main event, Mohammed King Mo Lawal, Seth Petrozelli. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at these 4 fighters, all 4 of these fighters are coming off first round finishes. And not in the good way, in the bad way.
On the low end.
And now they're starting one step further than they even got. Well, actually, Noe got to the semifinals last year, I believe. And now they're in the semifinals, 2 fights, 2 wins away from a title shot.
Why are you bringing up old shit?
Okay.
They got it's what they had to work with. What do you want them to do?
When we went to the event, when was it, in March?
Yeah.
There were guys fighting there to get in
to the tournament. That's the whole object of the tournament.
You're fighting into the tournament. This is the toughest tournament in sports.
Right.
You're coming off a loss.
It also helps you if you have a little bit of a name.
Oh, well, 4 names.
No, I don't even think it's that's the thing, Derek. It's not that you have a name. You have a little bit if you're getting paid a great deal of money.
Sure.
That you need to make sure that there's a way. Any interest in King Mo versus Seth?
Yeah.
I am
too. I am too. You know,
and I wasn't saying I wasn't interested.
No, I understand.
I'm going to watch it. Don't get me wrong.
I just wanted to point that out, that everyone's coming off a one-round loss. No, I get that.
It's not the business practice, and we'll talk about the fight in a second, but we've had Bjorn on a few times.
Yeah,
we had
it doesn't
Bjorn
match up with the...
And that's all he kept saying was our business practice. This is what we're doing. We're having tournaments.
Our
model. Thank you. This isn't the model. Neither is signing Quentin Jackson, but...
Different people in bed now. Different partners, you know, and
War Machine.
That changes things. I mean, when we had Bjorn in, I think they were still on MTV2 in studio, and we've talked to him since they've come over to Spike, and he's definitely alluded to, you know, these guys do know what they're doing. You know, they didn't just say, "All right, Bjorn, run the show." You know, he definitely has more guys in the boardroom now making business decisions. So this doesn't surprise me. I am interested to see how King Mo bounces back, because I feel like King Mo, I don't feel like I think a lot of people like comparing him to like a Rampage because he was a big name that signed. But, you know, in the fight he lost, he didn't look terrible. I don't feel like he got complete. He got caught with a crazy punch. He got caught with a spinning back fist. Right. I mean, it happens. I think he still has a lot left in the tank where I don't feel like that with Rampage. So I'm interested to see how he bounces back here.
I'm interested in the fight. Mm-hmm. Seth Petrozelli's been on this program numerous times. Did you see his game plan?
Goofball.
Did you see his game plan?
That's awesome.
What was his game plan?
If you know anything about Seth Petrozelli, it shouldn't shock you.
Yeah, he's a goof.
But Seth Petrozelli he tweeted a picture of, or do you have it?
I do.
There is a picture of his game plan. It's a stick figure.
Punch him here at the jaw. money, beer, smiley face. I love the game plan. Listen, if he can stick with it, God bless him. You know, I'm surprised he went on Twitter with those big secrets. But
well, that's the thing, because game plans go out the window once you get punched in the face.
Once you get punched, but if he can hit him there, money, beer, smiley face. What more do you want? You know?
It's definitely his game plan, and Seth has been that guy, and we've talked to him about it, and we've talked about it, where he performs great up to the UFC level. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to other organizations and he does great things. Picks up some wins and then comes back and then struggles where he shouldn't. This is a big test for Seth.
He's a very good club fighter.
Yes.
They call him in boxing terms. Mm-hmm. He's a very good club fighter. He'll win fights on the lower levels. The stage gets a little bigger, the lights get and I don't feel like it's like he chokes or freezes up, because you can't say that. I mean, he knocked out Kimbo. You know, then that was the biggest stage he was on. I just don't think talent-wise he's there with these guys.
The UFC guys.
The UFC guys.
The A guys.
The A guys. And if King Mo is an A guy, he gets this win tonight. I think that's really what I'm interested in, is because King Mo has a ton of hype. He's had a lot of fights. He's had a lot of buzz about him.
Because he's a big name.
Is he an elite fighter? I don't know if we figured that out yet. Judging by his sponsorship, he's elite.
Well,
but
yeah, good job. I like that.
Hey, every now and again.
I like that.
But I don't know if he is. I don't know if he is. So that fight does. That fight interests me. The Babalu fight, I know he's your guy. But
he's not necessarily my guy.
He's Joe Marquis' guy.
He's Joe Marquis' cellmate.
He's cellmate. He's Joe Marquis' cellmate.
Right. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I know they keep rolling him out here, and you know they'll list all the opponents he's fought, and
all 48 of them.
Right. I mean,
this will be 48.
They'll pick out the big names because he has fought big names. There's no denying it.
They will show Chuck Liddell's leg.
Sure.
From that
kicks,
from the knockout.
Yeah, I mean everything.
But he's a name, and obviously that's the direction Spike is or not Spike, but Bellator is going. And I just want to respond real quick when you said, is King Mo, an elite fighter?
Yeah.
If he was an elite fighter, I believe he'd be in the UFC.
I don't agree with that.
I do.
You don't think that Dana wanted him?
No.
You don't think they wanted him?
I don't think so.
From Strikeforce? Really?
I don't.
Out of all the guys, he was one of the few guys who kind of had a following and had a quote. I don't want to say mainstream following, but if you looked at King Mo coming out of Strikeforce, you saw where UFC could make money with him versus other guys who they brought over.
Sure. When you say King Mo, though, what UFC fighter that we've already talked about comes to mind?
Rampage.
Yeah.
Well, not even Rampage. Roy Nelson.
Black?
No. I just think
that's messed up.
No.
Sean.
I think when
Sean,
everything that he's done,
Sean,
the act that he puts on,
come on,
is the same thing that Rampage does.
And I'm saying Roy Nelson. That's Roy Nelson.
And they're boys.
Because they have great body types.
Exactly.
Right.
Very similar.
You say beard? You say Roy Nelson. Why?
That Roy has.
Because I do agree with Sean.
Roy has the gimmick.
Racist.
Yeah, there you go. And I just think it's going to be just like Roy. If they want to keep him, they will. They have the money to keep him if they want, but they're not going to want to. They don't need to put up with all. I think King Mo wanted things. King Mo wanted to do other things like Quentin, like a lot of these guys do. And Zuffa's not set up that they need anybody anymore.
I would agree with that. But I feel like, and I don't know that King Mo might have been like that at the bargaining table, that he thought his value was higher. And I agree that Zuffa doesn't need that.
He walks around with a cape and a crown.
It's part of the gimmick. Live the gimmick, brother. Live the gimmick. But I mean, and that's what I'm interested in. Is he more sizzle than steak? Because I think the jury's still out, which is pretty interesting because he has a lot of fights under his belt, and he's shown flashes where he's looked really good. His hands have looked great. He's tossed guys around. You hear about his wrestling. This isn't a guy who you hear, training wise is mailing it in. So I want to see what King Mo we get tonight.
One of the six of you in studio that have a computer, pull up King Mo and run down who he's fought. Because, again, this is something that we always talk about. Yes, he's looked good.
I got it.
Tell me who he's looked good against.
Okay, so he is 9-2. And he, obviously, Emmanuel Newton was his last fight. Lost there.
In a fluky type of
I understand
ending.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that this was a Jon Fitch fight.
Outclassed
I'm not saying this was the Roy Nelson fight, and I'm not saying this makes him a bad fighter because he got knocked out by the spinning Rudy Tootie.
Okay, so I'm just going to name people I've heard of. Lorenz Larkin. That was a no contest.
In a way, you're defeating the whole purpose by not naming the people that you haven't heard of.
Okay, so
that's the point I'm trying to get across.
Przemysław Majasiala.
You could have just said that you're not going to say the names of the people you can't pronounce.
Okay, Lorenz Larkin, Roger Gracie, Rafael Cavalcante, Jigard Musasi, Mike Whitehead, Mark Kerr, Ryo Kawamura.
Who's this other loss to?
Musasi.
Cavalcante and Newton.
He beat Musasi?
Yes, that was his 7th fight, and he was undefeated up to that point.
Okay. But that's all
for
I'm
the
saying.
title.
Right. Okay. That's a good win.
It is a good win. There's no doubt it's a good win. But when you're looking at somebody that's 9-2, and a good win is one of those 9, fights, that doesn't necessarily make him an elite fighter. And that's why every time we do our picks and a guy's coming from a new organization, and I always say the same thing, I want him to fight in the UFC first. I want him to fight some of the UFC fighters before we start calling him an elite fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good fighter.
Very good fighter.
I mean, anybody who's been in a cage, been in a boxing, been in the street, been in whatever is a better fighter than me.
Well, yeah, that's not saying.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. The last thing I want is start getting tweets from, King Mo calling me out. Obviously, he's a better fighter than me. I want to see him go and beat good fighters.
All he can do is fight
the people, sure,
who's lined up, and
sure.
I think he needs to make a dent in this summer series. He needs to advance. He needs. I think Bellator needs.
He wins one fight in the finals,
and if he does it,
good. God, they set it up. That's why you signed the damn guy.
Yeah. If he does it,
can they put Paul Daly just in a final, just sitting there?
If he doesn't,
that hurts.
There'll be a new winter series where all he'll have to do is just win the first fight, and he wins the title. They're going to do whatever they need to do to get their money out of him. Did any of you guys, and really more you, Derek, the wrestling guy, did you watch TNA? What did he do? How did he do?
Who's that? Rampage?
Rampage. Tell me how Rampage did, and tell me how King Mo's done.
They haven't done much with Mo. I think they had him out. They had him as like a special enforcer.
I saw him get in the ring and kind of shove somebody.
Rampage walked out. Did his howl. Cut a terrible promo, and they had Kurt Angle come out and just kind of did a stare down.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah, and then I guess the next week he helped Angle. It's terrible. It's a horrible deal. Good for those guys.
Absolutely.
For hey, it's another way to get a paycheck. To up their paycheck. But I mean, they're not going to be putting in the work. It ain't happening.
What I'd like to throw out, and we need to get it on the Yapped app because I believe Yapped is now up and running where you can do poll questions and such. And I remember back in the day, Ken Shamrock, who would go back and forth.
Yeah.
From wrestling to fighting, and A lot of people thought back then that wrestling was real, and now that we know it's entertainment, do you, Derek, guys in the studio, everybody out there, 855-483-6646, do you have a problem with a guy that's doing both? Does it diminish you as a fighter? Because I don't.
I don't care.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't care what you do. I mean, I don't care if in the, between fights a guy goes and does ballet. Whatever I care about is what I'm tuning in for, that person showing up and putting an effort. And
no
that
matter what it is, even
no matter what it is. Yeah,
no
matter what it is. I mean, to me, like when Shamrock would show up in the WWE, and I mean, he started as a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
When he showed up, he was a worker. He wanted to work, like and they put him in angles, and he was very good at professional wrestling. He wasn't showing up and stealing a paycheck. That's where I have an issue. Okay, they're going to march this guy. He's not going to do anything. I'm supposed to care. I don't. And that's where I have an issue. But these guys, as long as you show up and you're dedicated, that's all I care about.
Speaking of Ken Shamrock, we will be discussing him with Norbert Hudak at 7:15 because he's at least one of his wrestling matches is in the series, that we will be talking about, tonight. So I'm sure you saw it back in the day. It was him and Austin and all those guys.
That's his crazy thing. Like, he was running with main event guys. He's wrestling against Owen Harts of the world. He was in main event angles. He wasn't like a sideshow. We're just going to bring him out. Like, he was legit. He was in major angles and held titles and, put on great matches. It's pretty crazy.
So we'll talk with Norbert about that in the second hour. Randy Couture coming up just past the top of the hour. Josh Burkman will be on at the bottom of the hour to talk about his new profession. No, not being the governor. That's in 20, I think he said 25 or something like that. But we'll talk about his new profession as a referee.
You saw the commercial for the Fight Master series. We're going to have Randy on. Any quick reaction to it? I know it was just a little, 45 whatever second spot.
Which is hard to tell from.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's going to be hard to tell from what Randy's going to tell us.
Yeah.
Randy's job is to push the show. Our job is to push the show. But until we watch the show, they know what they're doing. They had the Ultimate Fighter. They've had the UFC. So Spike-wise knows what to do. I'm curious about the show itself. But they hired
Frank Shamrock. How much do they know what they're doing?
They needed a fourth.
They
needed a fourth.
They drew straws.
Nobody else stepped up to do it.
They drew straws.
I'm more curious about the format of the show itself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Randy this exact question because if you go on Google and you kind of look it up, it says how the fighters interviewed the coaches. And I'm going to even say this to Randy, like, what's the question could they possibly ask? Randy, what is your credentials?
Yeah. Give me.
Have you ever been in this game before?
Give me your experience.
So I want to see how much of training they're showing. Are they going to do a little bit different, or is it going to be the same kind of show as The Ultimate Fighter?
It's a tough decision on who you pick. I think it comes down to a tough decision.
What's that, for coaches? Between Greg Jackson and Randy?
Absolutely.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's 1 and 2.
I think it has to do a lot with stylistic matchup. What are you used to as to who you want
your
as
coach?
A coach? Yeah. I mean, Randy, you think a little bit more of a striking guy, while you think a lot of wrestling and sort of.
But Couture is a wrestler.
He's a wrestler, yeah, but you think more striking for him over Greg Jackson.
But you think of Randy Couture fighter, not Randy Couture coach.
Right.
Yeah. You think Greg Jackson coach of champions.
Right. Coach and the best coach out there. Yeah. It's
Frank Shamrock has coached before. I'm just saying.
So is Bruce Buffer.
And I was going to throw him out just to set Derek off. Frank Shamrock was involved with the IFL. He's done, coaching stuff. Let's just don't, throw him out the window. Or Joe Warren. Please. Just because you don't know a whole lot about him. We don't know what he's done in the gym. We don't know how he's trained. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's definitely one of the guys. I mean, of the four, I kind of feel like I know what to expect with Randy and Greg just from talking with them and being on the show, and obviously them being chronicled all over. But the Joe Warren, I am interested to see just how he is in the gym, how he interacts with these guys, and I just don't know much about him. So it should be pretty good. And it's funny, I'm looking forward to talking to Randy because if you remember when we had him on the show when they made the announcement, we were like, so what's the show going to be like? I don't know.
Kind of like Kyle talking about the show.
He's like, I don't know. I'm flying out tomorrow to Louisiana. and we begin filming. What are you going to film? Guys, I really don't know. So
don't ask me. I just work here.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to talk to him
now,
after the break.
Even if it did come down this way, I guarantee that Randy won't say, well, yeah, every fighter wanted to be part of Team Couture.
No.
Every fighter, Greg Jackson would never say everyone, so we'll have to kind of watch and see, not that they would show that, but let's sit back and watch it tonight. It's on at 10 o'clock tonight. Give it a fair shake.
The producer's sliding guys like $100. Hey, man, just say you want Frank as your coach. Here, take $100. Say, hey, just go on Frank's team, please.
Throw him a bone.
We'll give you $200 more.
All right, so when we come back from the break, the natural, Randy Couture, coming up. We'll talk a little bit about the show. He is out at, obviously, tonight's Bellator. But we'll get in, we'll get out. We'll talk to him a little bit so he can go back and enjoy the fights. When we return, Randy Couture. All right, so coming up momentarily, we'll be talking a little bit about tonight's inaugural episode with your friend, everybody's friend, Frank Shamrock, Randy Couture,
We like
Greg
Randy.
Jackson and Joe Warren.
Friend of the show, Randy.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Greg Jackson.
Shamrock's been on the day show.
Yeah.
So we need to get him on.
Okay.
And we'll put Frank and Bruce on in the same segment.
Stack them up.
Just so that you will have a good time.
So I could sit out a segment, is what you're saying?
Thoughts
Derek's
on,
timeout.
Yeah. You're the guy that always take the title shot when you can. I guess it's time to talk about Showtime, Showdown Pettis. What's his nickname?
Showtime.
Showtime.
Mr. No Title Shot Pettis.
No time, Pettis.
No time.
Meniscus. Done.
Yeah. Wait, you take the title shot
Yeah.
you have. And I can't.
She did. I mean, he didn't have the other one. I mean, it's not like he was waiting around for Henderson.
Well, I can't believe he had the stones to try to tell TJ Grant to scoot over.
Do you mind sitting this one out so
Yeah.
I can have the title
Yeah,
shot?
what?
Hell no.
Yeah, is this? I'm sorry.
Absolutely
Is this the
not.
Anthony Pettis show? No, I earned this. Thank you. You decided you talked your way into another fight that you can't be
Fulfill.
on. Yeah, I can't. But I mean,
I don't blame him for asking.
I do.
No, I don't blame him for asking.
It's
but,
a stupid
but
I guess it's kind of like asking for a helicopter.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
All I can do is say no, right?
But what person's going to say, yeah, sure, you take the title shot. I'm not going to do
It's
it
a
yet.
stupid question.
That's a stupid question.
It is.
I'm upset because I was looking forward to that fight.
Sure.
I was looking forward to that fight, and I'm sorry. I know we have fans of the Korean Zombie in this room, but he's going to get his ass handed.
Well, and I was going to ask, do you think this is going to be anywhere close to the same excitement?
Pull up the rankings. Not that it matters because Derek doesn't care.
Yeah,
but
I won't.
But I believe Pettis is sitting at 2. I don't even know where Zombie's sitting.
Yeah, no. He's
you know
not
what I
in
mean?
the top 10.
So it is a shame, but no, it's going to be nowhere near the fight that I think most of us anticipated.
I think this actually could be a good shot in the arm for the UFC in that division, because Aldo has not looked like Aldo in a while.
Sure.
This is a fight where he can open up offensively.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Korean Zombie's 4. Pettis is not ranked in that weight class.
Excuse me. I was looking at your rankings, Randy.
Okay. Randy didn't have the Zombie up there.
Mm-mm.
Where do I have the Zombie?
You don't.
Yeah, you don't.
Oh, I don't even have him ranked. Okay.
Right.
I feel like this could be a great showcase fight for Aldo.
Absolutely. This is what Aldo needs.
Yeah.
Because he has struggled. He hasn't looked overwhelming, and some people think he lost to Frankie Edgar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is what he needs. And if
it
he
could
wins,
set up that Pettis fight. It could build more steam for
the
it.
Pettis fight or the Henderson fight, because he was talking
Either
about
or.
going up
I
to
know,
Henderson,
bumping up. But I think it might keep him. It might keep him in this weight division now if Pettis is coming down to get him, and that fight's still on the table. I think it's there.
Side note, you have him ranked 4th.
I was looking at the wrong division.
Jesus
Because
Christ, can you
I
read?
looked at Pettis.
Eddie.
I looked in the same.
You do not have
Same one as
Pettis
Pettis.
ranked in the featherweight division. You have him ranked number 1 in the lightweight division.
Okay.
That's where.
Sorry.
Okay.
So it's going from number 1 in one weight class to number 4 in the same weight class.
It's like I said, there's more options right now for Aldo. So I think he was out of options before, which is why he was really pushing. Why he was really pushing to move up for Henderson. But now, this Pettis fight is still on the table. If he can take care of business, I'm getting him past the Zombie.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
but I don't think he chases up after this fight.
I think he does.
Do you?
I think he does, because I don't think there's anybody there.
So he wins, hypothetically.
Mm-hmm.
he moves up and fights the winner of Grant and Henderson.
And that's what he wants to do. That's supposedly what he has shown interest in.
And guess who's scared again?
I was just about to say. So Pettis is standing there with his duck in his hand again.
It is what it is.
Or does he drop down and take like an interim title shot?
Sure.
It's a Ken Flo.
I mean,
it's with the spinny belt.
Right, but when Aldo moves up, does he vacate that title at that point?
I believe that
or
is
he'll
what,
have an opportunity
no,
to move down.
I believe that that's what Dana has always said, that if they do go up and win the title, that then, they can't have both.
Okay.
Now, what I was trying to segue
but
into...
if he loses, he keeps that title and just moves down?
I would say he would.
I don't know.
Because he didn't lose the title, that title. He's not fighting for that title. He's fighting for the other title.
I don't necessarily think that he has to vacate it unless Dana says, and again, Anderson went up and fought, but it wasn't a title shot. But I don't think you have to vacate it unless you vacate the division. If you're just going to go up for this super fight,
yeah,
and I still say that's not a super fight.
Sure it is.
I don't think it's a super fight.
Two champions?
That to me is not a super fight.
Oh, I disagree.
To me, a super fight is just give me 145 and 155 are going to fight. They fight at 150. That to me is a super fight.
Okay, you want the catch weight thrown in there?
Yeah, I think it's important. Unless you're fighting for a title and then you can't do that.
I can get down with that.
And that's my whole thing. You're bringing a guy up, adding 10 pounds. It's giving more of the advantage to the higher weight class guy anyway. My super fight is a super fight. You're meeting it at whatever. Anderson's going to fight John Jones. He shouldn't have to go up to 205 unless he's going to go up there and fight for the title. And then I don't necessarily call it a super fight. But what I was trying to get at, the UFC Zuffa, the parent company of the Ultimate Fighting Championship,
really
I'm just trying to be a little professional, has started to implement different things like code of conduct, which we've talked about before. And yes, I did the air notes to Dana when I talked the code of conduct. How about the new dress code?
I like it.
Have you seen this?
No, I have not heard of said dress code.
There is now a dress code for
only 17 sponsors on shirts.
No, not sponsors, but what you can wear and how you can wear. But let's move on. Let's go back in time about 5 minutes. Randy Couture, very busy, talking about tonight's show. Of course, he's at a show, so let's go out and talk to the Hall of Famer, Randy Couture. Randy, how are you?
Good. How are you, Randy?
How excited are you? You've done these types of shows before. Obviously, you're a veteran in the sport, but how much excitement for the inaugural episode tonight?
I think it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited. Ton of hype and just buzz about the show. I think having Elise and Bertram, from the Amazing Race, is the editors and producers, and they're really giving it a lot different feel. And obviously, Spike and Viacom are behind this 100% to try and fill the void that the UFC created when they left and went to Fox. So I think it's going to be a great night.
When you mention, a different feel, and obviously that's been everybody's question, and I don't know how much, you can talk about, but where will it be different? How will it be different from the last show like this that you were in?
I think the big thing is that the fighters have absolute control of their own destinies. They choose their camps, coaches, and even their opponents for this show. So it adds a whole different layer of tactics, technique, and thought process to it. So I think it's going to be really good.
All right, I mentioned this at the top of the show, Randy, that, I know that's one of the changes, that they get to pick their coaches. And I guess I saw on Spike or on Bellator as they were kind of pushing the show that the fighters interview the coaches. So what question could any fighter possibly ask you? Like, what are your credentials?
Could ask me anything he wanted. It was left 100% up to them. What they asked, what they needed to know. Obviously most of them were concerned with what we saw in the fights that we saw them compete in, how we thought we could help them progress as athletes and ultimately win, be successful.
Were most of the questions, if not all of the questions, serious questions, about their future and about their career?
Yeah, they were all serious. They're young, up-and-coming guys, and aspiring to be the best in this sport. And see, four coaches there that given their choice, have the opportunity to influence that and either make that easier or make that harder.
Now, you said up-and-coming fighters. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Diesel Joe Riggs in this as well?
He might be the exception as far as up-and-coming. Obviously, a ton of experience and an amazing competitor, and kind of been up and down and all around in the sport.
And we're on the phone with Randy Couture, who is going to be starring in Fight Master tonight. Premieres tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern on Spike. Randy, when we talked to you right when you agreed to doing this show, we were asking you about it. You said, I don't know what they're going to have me do. I don't know. They're just telling me to show up, and now that's what I'm going to do. Now that you have, some stuff in the bank, it's premiering tonight. Just the overall process of the taping, how did you just like everything about it? And like Randy said, you've done something similar to this before, but talent-wise, how were the guys to work with, and also the other coaches?
The other guys were great. The coaches were a lot of fun. We had a strong camaraderie, first of all, and I think a respect that comes through. We also are competitive, so we had a good time shooting it, and I think it's a great pool of talent that they put together. All aspiring guys that want their shot, and so it was good.
Randy, know you obviously very well, a very professional. When you're doing this, the object is to obviously help the four guys that are going to be on your team, but from the coach's standpoint, is it also a competition between the four coaches?
Well, you don't want to be the guy that loses. I think each and every one of these coaches is competitive. We want to try and get the best guys to pick us, get a chance to train the best guys, and hopefully be the coach that has a guy that wins this thing. So, the guys in the cage, we're just at a little bit different arena to compete against each other.
Would some of the differences from the previous show that you were on show more of the training, show more of the guys trying to better their career? Because, as a fan of the sport, I think a lot of MMA fans have always said we want to see more training. We want to see more of what the guys are doing, not the shenanigans.
I think that's absolutely the focus of this show. I think you have four coaches with four different levels of experience and teaching styles. It creates a whole other level of interest for the fan that's watching this. It's not just about the athletes, but how those coaches approach those athletes, what they do with them, how they train, and each of us has our own way of doing things. It's there that I think is very interesting.
And we're on the phone with Randy Couture, who is starring in Fight Masters tonight on Spike TV, 10 o'clock Eastern. The lead-in to your show, we have some live Bellator fights tonight, Randy. What's your take on the main event with King Mo versus Seth Petrozelli?
It'll be an interesting fight. Obviously, both his skill have to give the advantage to Petrozelli and experience level. He's been around a little while longer. He's been in some big fights. It'll be interesting to kind of see which Mo Lawal shows up. I'm well aware of him from his wrestling days at Oklahoma State, which was my alma mater. He's an amazing athlete, but he has this tendency in some of these big to not show up, not do the things that we know he's capable of doing and what we expect from him. So it'll be interesting. He's going to have his game tonight with Seth Petrozelli because Seth's been in big fights and very skilled fighter.
Randy, kind of taken from what you just said about it'll be interesting to see what King Mo shows up. It's also what Seth Petrozelli shows up as well, because there's two sides of him.
Well, I think all fighters have that potential to be that way. But I obviously I think not a lot of people knew who Seth was, other than his experience on TUF, and then knocking Kimbo Slice kind of out of the blue. That right on the map and right at the forefront for everybody. And he's been kind of up and down since then. So I think overall he's a competitor. It'll be interesting.
Have you ever had a game plan like Seth? Did you see his game plan with the stick figures?
I kind of tried to leave the artwork out of it.
That's typical Seth Petrozelli. Well, Randy, I know that you're out there and you're doing a lot of media, but you also want to get back out to the fights. Thank you very much for your time on short notice. I just called you about it earlier today, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
You bet, Randy. Thanks for being on. You guys take care.
Thanks
awesome.
a lot.
Thank you, Randy.
855-483-6646.
Is your significant other nagging you about cleaning out the garage? Or spending too much on a storage unit? Needing to sell or purchase new or used equipment for your business? PostShareSell.com is your solution. A cool and innovative way to buy, sell, or trade online. With an easy-to-use mobile phone app and built-in sharing capabilities, post a free ad in less than 60 seconds. PostShareSell.com. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post it, share it, sell it.
All right, so we were talking about Ken Shamrock.
Before we get to that, what's going on with your goddamn disco ball phones here, Harris boys?
It flashes when we get a phone
You
call
guys
or
are
a message.
texting. We obviously, when the show's going on, we got looking up stuff, doing different things. But you two got this new thing going on. You text, and it looks like a strobe light goes off.
I've almost had a seizure like 6 times.
It's to wake us up.
Good God, man.
All right, let's jump back to the phone lines and talk one of your favorite subjects. We're going to talk a little WWE action.
It's not one of my favorite. It is my favorite.
It is your favorite?
Yeah.
Well, then that's why we have you on. MMA's our favorite.
Yeah.
Wrestling's your favorite.
Absolutely.
On the line with us right now, as he does, I would say each and every week, but when he has time,
Close
because
enough.
he's an extremely busy man, Norbert Hudak, to talk a little WWE Best of In Your House. Norbert, how are you?
Great. How are you doing today?
We are doing great. Going to talk a little wrestling. We were talking about Ken Shamrock, who just happens to be in this particular DVD.
I thought that was a perfect segue because, indeed, this goes back to the 90s and the Attitude Era of the WWE and the setup of really a more regular pay-per-view type of event that Vince McMahon set up outside of the Big Four to fight against WCW with more pay-per-views. It was In Your House, and these are some of the classic matches from that In Your House series of pay-per-views. So it goes back to some of the classic wrestlers that we've seen, some of the most amazing matches, a lot of first-time matches in terms of certain matchups that we love. And, of course, during that time, Ken Shamrock was involved in some way with wrestling, and so we've got a couple of his matches.
Yeah, I like to call these In Your House pay-per-views. This really was the start of me, going broke, not being able to financially get ahead in life, because WWE always ahead of the curve just in pay-per-view, period. This was the first time they went with monthly pay-per-views, a little price-tiered, brought down a little on the price tier. But this opened it up for monthly pay-per-views. Now everyone is doing monthly pay-per-views, and In Your House started that fad.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they also started a lot of, I think, some of the hardcore wrestling fads that we saw and that became kind of standard. I mean, some of the weapons that were pulled out in some of these matches. I mean, there's a non-sanctioned match with Steve Austin and Owen Hart and Cactus Jack, Chainsaw Charlie, Triple H, and they're bringing out carts full of weapons and just out of control, just punishing each other.
I believe
all the way to some of the like it was the first match ever where Shawn Michaels and Undertaker wrestled each other was in Your House, and that match is on here as well.
And I know I believe one of the matches on there too is Shawn Michaels against Mankind. And I remember when they booked this one, I loved it because I was a big fan of Cactus Jack. And that has one of the craziest spots I've ever seen in wrestling, where Shawn Michaels super kicks Cactus Jack, Mankind at the time, and he goes headfirst through the table, outside the announcer table. So I still don't know how he pulled it off, but he looked like he dove into a pool and went headfirst through the table.
It was amazing, the athletics even then. And, it goes to... even back to some of the more crazy matches like the hog pen match that Hunter Hearst Helmsley was in, and before he was Triple H, and some Bret Hart British Bulldog matches, and some of these. This is the one where there was a lot of blood involved. So some crazy stuff happened in the '90s. Crazy stuff happened in Your House, and it's all here on the DVD.
Norbert, one of the ones I want to talk about real quickly, and again for a lot of new. Wrestling fans, they may not even know of some of these guys, but the one to me that I really want to watch is the Hart Foundation, Bret, Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, the British Bulldog, and you'll see, where I'm going with this, and Brian Pillman, taking on Austin, Shamrock, Goldust, and both Legion of Doom. There's about half of the guys in this match no longer with us. So just being able to go back and watch some of these guys that are not alive anymore, I think is very interesting and will be a lot of fun.
I think that's true, and it kind of brings chills when you watch some of these guys that we loved so much, and we loved to watch them then, and they have such a important place in our heart. So it's great to go back and see those guys as well, and I think the Hart family qualifies there.
Now, I know that we're going to be giving away some of the Blu-ray as well as some of the regulars, but the beauty of the Blu-ray is there's a little more special features in it. Can you tell us what's in it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few extra matches in it. So you get a Ken Shamrock, Shawn Michaels match. You get a Steve Austin, Bret Hart match. Plus you get, it is about 4 minutes of extra outtakes and some archival footage, a tour of the house, things like that just make it that much more special.
Which is obviously a lot of fun. The biggest question that can be asked is there's 28 events in your house. 14 of those are in this DVD. Does that mean there'll be a sequel?
If it sells well, I'm sure there'll be a sequel.
Spoken like a real professional. There you go. Norbert, we're going to be giving copies away as we do each and every time you're on, but where can people pick it up? I know it's a brand new DVD that just came out, I believe, last month. Where can people pick it up?
Yeah, it just came out. You can go to Amazon, you go to Walmart, WWE section, Best Buy, and you should be able to find it there. It's a lot of fun.
As always, we appreciate your time. And is there any truth to the fact that the Oakland Raiders were just announced as mathematically eliminated?
No, I think that usually happens right after week 1.
September. And Norbert, as always, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
If you want to grab Norbert's line, if you want to talk WWE or UFC, if you want to pick up one of the DVDs, feel free. Give us a call, 855-483-6646.
I am Salties.
Can you imagine Salties? Imagine a place that becomes something absolutely unforgettable.
Sustainable seafood from icy waters of the Pacific Northwest.
Salties is sweet coconut-crusted prawns.
Salties is live Dungeness crab.
The finest USDA prime steak.
With perfectly paired wine.
Your life is our celebration.
Your table is waiting at Salties.
Go to Salties.com and make your reservation today. Salties, Alki Beach, Redondo Beach, and Columbia River.
All right, what's on your mind, Onion?
What was so important that couldn't wait till after the commercial break? That's what I want to know.
People can see.
What up, Onion? Come on, what?
I can't believe you did that. Who talks over the commercials? Dick. Amateur hour.
Oh, boy.
Amateur hour. If I ever talked over a commercial, I'd just pack it up and leave. But that's just me being the professional that I am.
Did you forget what you were going to talk about?
No, I was saying that people can talk Bellator too. That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah, they can.
The prelims are on. The prelims are on the internet, so you can find the prelims there. That should be a good card. Although, of course, it's going up against, Stanley Cup Finals.
Some
tonight.
hockey game.
Yeah. But I'll keep an eye on it.
What exactly is this bet, and how often are you going to have to wear this Bruin attire?
Oh, God, that's why the Hawks really need to win.
I know.
They need to pull this out. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Longhorn and I have a little Twitter bet going on. It's loser of the series. So his Bruins lose, he has to buy a Blackhawks the championship shirt, right? And for 7 straight days, he needs to post a Twitter pic of him wearing it with the hashtag #CueTheDagger, which is kind of a Blackhawks thing, and Twitter bet loser also hashtag. So it's a 7-day thing. It goes for 7 days. I don't want to pay up on that one. So Hawks need to win.
I don't know what's worse, having to take the picture in the shirt for 7 days, or actually having to spend money
on
the other team's
on a shirt that you'll never wear.
Yeah.
Right. You got to come off it. It's brutal. And that's one thing that when we were hashing this thing out that, Longhorn asked, he's like, well, does this shirt have to be worn, or, can you take a picture of a place? I no, you got to put it on, because that's even worse. You gotta wear it. Gotta support the other team's championship attire. Yeah, it's a kick in the nuts, and I don't want to pay up.
And the reason you wear it is so you can't return it.
It's yours. I mean, I'll ask Longhorn, what size he is if I buck up, and I'll get one his size and send it his way, because I don't want that thing in my house.
There you go.
Now, is this? Now I completely blanked on what
you
I was
now
gonna
you
say.
blank.
Yeah.
You don't blink when we're busting your balls for 5 minutes.
No.
Now you got a free shot at it.
No, is this just a championship shirt or is it an actual sweater full up?
No,
Okay.
sure. Just
I was gonna say,
the
that would be a little
$20
overboard.
tee, whatever.
Okay.
You know, we're not hitting each other for sweaters, not yet.
Stanley Cup champion, the whole nine thing.
Yeah,
I want Chicago to win just to see what Patrick Kane does.
Kane will celebrate. Kaner will celebrate. That's for sure.
I understand he celebrates win, lose, or draw.
He's going to celebrate. Yeah, why not? Right?
He's
going to celebrate. Yeah.
Now, see, what you guys should have done is somehow included in that bet. You both have connections. You're very well connected. He's very well connected. You should have included the cup somehow.
No, the day with the cup, try to work in there. Right. I don't think we're that connected. He tries to fight guys on his own team at delis, and that's a whole thing.
Quick question for you, since you weren't here for it. Do you think it's kind of weird that being in Boston, he didn't recognize Zdeno Chara and tried to pick a fight with him? He didn't realize this 7-foot-tall Slovak who's
there's so many in Boston.
Yeah. Come on.
Dime a dozen. You can't throw a rock without hitting a 7-foot Slovak.
I tell you what. Oy, it's a little much.
We got a nice cut on these Bellator prelims. The guy's bleeding like a stuck pig.
Update us. What's going on?
I don't know. Guy's bleeding. I just looked down. There's a lot of blood coming out of his head. That's what's going on.
That's never a good thing.
Main event from Saturday. Thoughts?
It was funny because you and I watched it together. We both picked different, winners.
He wasn't watching the fight.
Who wasn't? Derek or me?
Derek wasn't watching.
Oh, he was watching a lot
game.
of. I'll tell you this much: when the women fight came on, I noticed his eyes left the UFC and went to hockey.
That was straight hockey time. that was good hockey time.
It was definitely hockey.
So you went over to the table and you said, "I thought so and so won," and Derek just said, "I got the other guy."
No, not for the main. No, the main. I was paying attention for the main.
Yeah, you were.
I was interested in that fight. And unfortunately, it produced what I thought it was going to produce, which wasn't a very good fight.
Not much.
Of two guys who I feel are past their prime, and neither one to me is looking to get it back.
Is it safe to say that really one, if not both, have been past their prime?
Yeah.
And I think Rashad, and Rashad pretty much admitted it after his last fight, that he's checked out. He doesn't know if he still has the desire. He doesn't know. It's different. The sport is so different now. Even though they're still not making great money, they're now being compensated better. Mm-hmm. So it's not the same. They're not struggling. They're not, starving. They're not. So once they start making serious money like that, and that's kind of what happened with Rashad.
Yeah.
And Dan Henderson, I think, who's been still competitive, and I think I still had him ranked, fairly high, which is a part of the division, but it's not the same Dan Henderson as when he was in Pride, that's for sure.
No, I mean, when you watch Dan Henderson fight, to me it was very similar to watching Roy Nelson fight.
Yep.
They brought their one trick, and that's all that they were going to do. Like, it's crazy to me that, Roy Nelson is a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's getting his ass handed to him on his feet.
We haven't seen him.
He doesn't look to take it to the ground. He wants to cock his right hand and land it. He's eating shot after shot. Dan Henderson, I felt, was the same thing. He was looking to throw a right hand. Was there a game plan B? Yeah, it was throw the right hand again. And C was to try it again. And, you get a little movement. Dan Henderson, he's a great wrestler. What are you doing? I know so is Rashad, but aren't you even looking to do that?
Do you think, and I don't remember where I put these guys in my personal rankings, but do you think that this really didn't help either one of them? Obviously, it doesn't help Dan Henderson. Yes, he lost. Yes, it was a close fight again, that he lost. And again, I learned from you. Nobody got screwed.
Nope.
I would have been okay either way.
Yeah.
I thought Rashad won round 2. Or I'm not so sure that Rashad won round 2 as much as Henderson didn't win round 2.
And that's the thing.
And that's what it was.
No one really went out and took a round.
Right.
Minus the first one. No one was, I felt like, really the aggressor. Who won that fight? You said, did either guy really gain anything? The UFC gained a lot by having Rashad win. Because he's still a name, I feel like, that they can sell, that maybe has a little something in the tank. More,
could sell a fight.
Believe it or not, more so than Dan Henderson at this point.
I agree with you.
And I know an old school guy like you is going to say, well, Dan Henderson's a bigger name.
No,
I get it.
No.
I just think moving forward, you can put Rashad on a Fox card, and it might get people interested.
I honestly think Rashad has a bigger name. in the UFC.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you have Rashad moving from 6 to 5, and then you had Henderson moving from 5 to 8. Now, on Rashad, he's been making a little bit of noise about possibly dropping weight to middleweight. I thought he looked big for
he wants to fight Bisping. He wants Bisping too, right?
Bisping,
Why not?
Just like everybody else. Too little, too late to try to sort of
I don't think so.
Jumpstart his career.
I think that's sometimes what they need to do. They've and
that's
more
a big cut.
Oh no, I understand
can he drop
that.
20 pounds?
And I'm not saying whether he can or he can't, but when we're saying that he didn't look good, yes, he won the fight. He's not going to fight Jon Jones, even though he says he wants that. I don't think anybody really wants to see that. So yeah, go to a different division, either up or down. I don't care which, and try something new.
But I feel like that's the option when you're
on your way out.
Well, when you're getting dominated too, like it's not like the guys at his weight division right now at 205 are too big for him. There are fights there, and that weight cut. I don't know if he can do it.
Is it
because when you're talking weight cut, then you start talking about those things that people question about Rashad. Weight cut a lot is mental. It's doing those extra things that a guy who's done what he's done might not be willing to sacrifice. Because that is a lot of sacrifice to drop that weight. And I don't think he can do it, quite frankly.
Is it that you're not being dominated, or is it that you're not going to be able to win the title? Supposedly, these guys fight not just to fight, not just for the money, but to win the title.
No.
I don't think anybody in that division has any interest in watching Jon Jones fight anybody.
I was just about to say, then everyone in that division just stop? Because does anyone really want to fight Jon Jones at this point?
So then does Rashad become your company man and just starts fighting everybody in the middleweight?
He's your Rich Franklin. If he wants it. I don't think he wants it like Rich does. I think Rich wants to fight, or at least has wanted to fight, and he's looked forward to the process. And when he's gone out there,
it's two entirely different things.
He's putting the effort in, and granted, he might not have that road to the title, but he enjoys the fight, and he does, and people pay to watch him because he puts it out there. I don't think you get that with Rashad. I don't know if he becomes that company man because he doesn't put in those efforts. And I think that would piss Dana off more than anything. That's where he couldn't be. I'm sure he'd say, yeah, Dana signed me up. I'll take the fight. But then when he keeps going out there and lays stinkers, there's only so much Dana can do to prop you up. You need to deliver for us.
I could be wrong. I was once before. But I believe that once Rashad gets to that, if he would have lost that fight, I think we might not have seen Rashad Evans again.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's the type of guy to stick around.
Do we see Hendo again?
Yeah, I think we do.
You think we see Hendo because he thinks that he's lost close fights?
Yeah. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
I was going to say, do you want to see Hendo?
Do you want to see Hendo? That's a great question.
I want to see or don't want to see, the answer will be the same, Dan Henderson just as much next week as I did last week. That fight doesn't change my opinion. He didn't get dominated. That's what I expect. Did you expect anything different?
So, he's not on a pay-per-view, right? At this point, he's not a pay-per-view fighter. Ooh. Do you put? Because you're talking
the first fight of the night on pay-per-view.
Hendo's a curtain jerker.
Yeah, I don't think you lower him, or in the sake of Josh Saman, possibly the final fight on FX.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm okay with that.
He's like a co-main guy on a free show.
No. I'm saying on a pay-per-view, the final fight on FX.
He's the Josh Shields Woodley fight.
Right, he's the Jake Shields Woodley.
Jake Shields, I'm sorry. Josh Shields. Who's that, his brother?
Yeah. That's him and Koscheck getting together.
No, I just, again, both those guys, I don't know where you go with them. That was the fight that was produced.
And that's the type of fighters that I think they both have become or have always been. They're not dominating anymore, and that's the fight. That's the exact fight that I expected.
I always feel like maybe there's a shot with Rashad still, because I feel like he's still he's younger than Hendo. Athletically, I feel like he still has a lot in the tank. It's just you get let down with the I think with the expectations.
But against who? You still think he has the shot against who? You still have the rankings up?
I do.
All right, give me the rankings of
Get
guys.
Him a Vitor?
Your rankings or overall?
I don't know which one. It don't matter.
I have yours up right now.
All right, that's fine.
So we are looking for.
Just tell me who's around Rashad. In my rankings.
Okay, so we have Glover Teixeira at 3.
No, I don't want to see that.
No.
Little Nog at 4.
No.
Rashad. Shogun Hua at 6. Phil Davis at 7.
And we've already seen it, so. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I mean,
not a very sexy slate there, huh?
And just for the sake of whatever, go to the main rankings.
Let's see.
It's just I guess there aren't. I mean,
there's not
options out there.
There's not options. There's not options that interest.
Yeah.
Options that we haven't already had. Obviously Rashad doesn't deserve 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, it's not that up?
No, it's not responding. Oh,
it's not responding.
I hate it when that happens.
While you're pulling that up, give me your thoughts on, what we originally started the program with Matt Hamill and his new management, kind of saying that he wanted a 10, 9, 8, something like that. Ryan Bader sitting around 9.
I'm with you. I think that's reaching a little bit.
Oh, it's reaching a lot, but isn't that what guys do?
And I was about to say that's what you sort of expect to happen because they want to break into the top 10 at a minimum, even though rankings don't count. But I think that's a pretty okay fight to watch.
I would be okay because it's 2 wrestlers, 2 guys that have decent power, 2 wrestlers. I don't know if necessarily Matt Hamill deserves Ryan Bader right now.
I was going to say, and Matt was there on Saturday at the 4th Street Hooters. Nice guy, took pictures with everybody. I couldn't say enough nice things about him. I'll say this. He should just be happy with what they sign up.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not in position to call out.
No, and it's not necessarily that. When they talked to Joe Silva, and Joe's making some phone calls, they asked, well, who interests you?
Yeah, you need to bring options to the table. I understand that, but
I certainly respect Matt and Gerard and Team Hamill a little bit for reaching to a number 10 or a number 9 and not saying, I don't know, that there's rankings, but, somebody that's not ranked, somebody that's a brand new
Let's
guy.
just ease them in.
Right.
Yeah. To take that approach would probably be 10 times worse.
Like his last fight,
let's get him a layup.
Right.
Yeah, let's just get him back in and get him warmed up. I always love when management says that because it's like, who are you to be in position? Not at this level.
So official UFC rankings, there's Gustafsson at 2, Teixeira at 3, Evans at 4, Little Nog at 5, Dan Henderson at 6.
Yeah, there's not a lot of attractive things out there.
Yeah, I mean there's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with either one of those guys.
But you have them. You got to use them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's because they weren't talking about hanging it up after that fight.
All right, before we get knocked out, before we get choked out, and before we have the referee stop it, we have the referee and the fighter on the phone right now. The future governor, Josh Burkman. Josh, how are you?
I like the introduction. Thank you very much. I'm good. How are you guys?
Did you get dual pay?
No, but now after all this talk and watching the video again, I should have definitely got a bonus.
Yeah, I think you need to track down Mazzagatti and say, hey man, whatever you got paid for that fight, I did your job.
I need a little handout.
I think it's only right. I think it's only fair.
I don't need any money. I've laughed enough on Twitter from some of these jokes that are going around that I'm good. I've got enough laughs out of it that I'm happy. I don't need the money.
Do you by any chance follow the comedian MMA Roasted?
I do. I don't follow him, but I got a bunch of theirs from Gerald Harris's. So I was getting them through Gerald Harris, and I was laughing.
So MMA Roasted put a thing up kind of making, ripping Mazzagatti a little bit, and I felt he deserved it. So I tweeted MMA Roasted back and said, dude, you really don't need to make fun of him. He's doing a good enough job for himself.
Yeah, he's definitely under the grill right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody from Dana White to the shows. I think at first I thought it was a little harsh, but the more that I watched it, I was like, yeah, he probably should have been in a better position.
I got to be honest with you, Josh, and I'm very careful when I say anything negative. That's not the type of show that we do, and that's something that I'm not really fond of. But I'm very strong on judges and even more on referees because this is guys' futures. This is guys' careers, and in this case, this is a guy's life. And for a referee to do as bad a job as he did, where you could have, hurt him even more, and you were very professional in it, and I think that says a lot about you. But I'm very critical when a referee makes a mistake like this.
Yeah, and at first I was like, you know what, Mazzagatti, probably as shocked as anybody. He was enjoying, well, is this guy going to go out? Holy shit, Burkman's done. But I think, with that being said, after I watched it, I mean, with a guy in a choke in a position like that, you got to be down there, you got to be checking, and I think, again, Mazzagatti's probably as surprised as everybody else is that Fitch got choked. But then I just was watching a couple other fights, and, I was watching my fight with Aaron Simpson, and what's the referee's name, the big bald guy? I forget.
Dan Miragliotta?
Miragliotta.
Yeah, there you go, that word. That's why I didn't say it. But I was watching that, and as soon as Aaron Simpson got in trouble, I mean, he's crouched down, he's right in there as the action's going on, and that's the intensity, I think that you need to have when a guy's in danger. So, I think there's definitely, justice behind him getting what he's getting.
And I obviously didn't ask you to come back on the program to dump on Mazzagatti the whole time, but I'm just going to respond to what you said by, yes, he might have been surprised. Yes, fans might have been surprised. Yes, Fitch or you might have been surprised, but he's the referee and he's not supposed to be surprised. That's his job, is to look 2 steps ahead to protect both of the fighters.
And I think that's why this issue is hot, and I think it's why people are still talking about it, because their number one job is to protect the fighters. In any instance when that doesn't happen, we need to talk about it, we need to discuss it, and we need to figure out how the fighters can be better protected. So, if there needs to be, hey, this is what these referees need to go through, this is how they get marked. Fighters get suspended if they do things wrong, and maybe, we need to take those same actions on referees if they're not in the right spot, if they do make the wrong calls. Because again, like you said, the number one job is to make sure that the fighters are safe.
I agree with you 100%. We are on the phone with the future governor, Josh Burkman. We've talked enough about Mazzagatti and how he screwed up, but now let's talk about how you didn't screw up. And, when you were on last week, you were very confident. You did all the work. Talk us through, what was it, the entire 45 seconds?
I just felt very confident. I knew that my training had gone good, and, the weight cut went good. And leading up to, when I got to the arena, something felt right, and I knew that I was going to find that flow in this fight. I wasn't worried about what I was going to do. I wasn't worried about my game plan. I was very laid back in the back. And as I walked out, I mean, I had a smile on my face. I just enjoyed the energy of the crowd and the vibe of the venue. And as I got closer to the cage, I just got, I started to feel more and more confident. I started feeling better and better to where, I really felt, better than I've ever felt when I walked in there. So it made for me to be mellow, and as soon as we came out, I could tell Fitch was going to be a little bit more aggressive, and so I just found the right place to stand when he decided to throw, and I slipped his jab and came back with a few myself, and I think that was a big part of the submission, is that I hurt him on our feet, and he went down, and I was hitting him, and I didn't want to go all out. I know Fitch is tough. I didn't want to, I just figured I'd put him in that front headlock to establish position, put him in choke to stand him back up. I wasn't putting him in a choke to submit him. I was just going to stand him back up. And, when he went for that leg, it just got in a little bit tighter, so I drug him with me and hopped around that corner. And, again, it wasn't my plan to go for that guillotine, but as it got tighter and tighter, I felt the moment and the flow of things, and I knew as soon as I went to my back that the fight was going to be over.
Now, when you were on last week, we talked about the new Josh Burkman and things have been changed, and you now have the team and all that kind of stuff, which will make this question obviously easier to answer. Would the old Josh Burkman, after a win like this, maybe not train as hard for his next fight?
No, I would train absolutely just as hard as I always trained. There wasn't a time that I didn't work hard in the gym. But I probably would have celebrated this victory much different and much longer.
Okay.
So, I might still be in Las Vegas, and then I might come home just to repack my bags to go somewhere else. So, that was the distraction. You know what I mean? Like, after this fight, I don't drink anymore. I'm not going out and partying. I'm back home. I'm going to go to the lake with my family for a few days, and when I get back, I'll start healing and rehabbing and getting ready, to get a chance to win that first World Series of Fighting title belt.
Josh, you mentioned afterwards you would have gone and partied. This time you're taking it easy. Have they approached you about the next fight? I know that Fitch said on the mic after this fight, they'd like to line it up. He'd like to see guys line up again for a rubber match. Has that been talked about, or have they approached you about what's next?
Yeah, I've talked to Ray Sefa. I've talked to Ali. I've talked to just the brass in the World Series of Fighting. And today I went to the orthopedic surgeon, and I have a mallet finger. If you guys know what that is. What it is, I believe that's it. And basically, I thought I broke it, but I didn't break it. I ended up just tearing that tendon at the end of my, my middle finger. So what I got to do is I got to stay in this little finger splint for 6 to 8 weeks, and the finger can't bend back down, or that starts the healing process back over. So I got to, be diligent with the healing of this finger. I'm out 6 to 8 weeks, and there's a fight in August, there's a fight in September, and I'm pretty sure that I'm out of both of those. So, I don't think Jon Fitch wants to sit out that long. I think that there's Aaron Simpson. I think that Gerald Harris. I think Steve Carl. I think that, there might be some matchups in there in the welterweight division. As far as for me, I'm going to, fight for that belt at the end of the year. Ray Sefa and Ali have told me that I got the spot in that title fight. So, I don't know exactly who my opponent will be. I know that Steve Carl has probably, earned that shot the most, but, I don't, like I said, I think there'll be a couple fights to decide who my opponent's going to be. And as far as Jon Fitch, I want to see Jon Fitch go out and win a fight, and I hope I win that belt, and then I want to do, Burkman Fitch 3 for the world title.
Well, there you have it. I guess the more important question.
He's getting paid to ref. He's getting paid to fight. He's getting paid to do promotions. He's getting paid to match make too.
And he's his own manager.
There you go.
So he's taking care of it all with the finger injury.
Business.
Yeah, there you go. Business. Exactly. Now, with the finger injury keeping you out of the cage, will it also keep you out of the backyard stream?
Absolutely not. That's where the power of healing is done. I was actually thinking I just got a massage. I was thinking I should go jump in the water. So no, right now that water's ice cold, melting right from the snow into the river. So I'll be in it quite a bit healing up. But I'm going to be in the lake for a couple weeks. For this weekend, I'm leaving. We're going down to Lake Powell. My family's got a houseboat, so I'm going to go and just let it all go and enjoy my family. And then we'll come back and worry about it.
Well, and then we'll get you back on and we can talk about the progress there. Josh, thank you very much for your time again. Congratulations on the huge and exciting victory on, Friday?
Friday.
And enjoy the vacation.
Hey, thank you guys very much. I appreciate the support leading up to it and after. It's the support I got for this fight was awesome, and we're going to keep it rolling. So thank you guys very much.
And we will have you on a regular basis. Thanks for your time.
Sounds good. See you later.
Josh Burkman, everybody, 855-483-6646. We'll go right through it because we only have like another minute and a half. We won't run our typical spot there after. Anything in closing? Any thoughts? What?
No, I put my microphone up so I could.
We only got like 60 seconds.
Hey,
110 seconds.
Whatever.
We have the Bellator show starting tonight with Randy Fight Masters, I believe it's called.
2 hours and 7 minutes from now.
This thing, Dana's going to make me watch this next Tough Enough, or the next Ultimate Fighter. I'm sorry, Tough.
Because he says what's going on in the filming?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be worse.
The talk of this, the Rousey Tate stuff, he's comparing it to Ortiz Shamrock.
Right.
You talk about, I don't want to see the shenanigans, this and that. With everything being talked about, I'm going to have to watch this thing.
I don't mind that. I don't mind the confrontations.
And the camps not liking each other, and the fighters because they're going to settle it.
I'm okay with that. It's all the bull crap that's, the pissing on food and pissing on beds and, taking a bed.
Hosing down bed.
Yeah, throwing the bed in the water. And to me, that's all just immature bull crap. And I don't want to see that. Confrontations, this is a combat sport.
Right.
I want to see, athletes, I was going to say guys, but obviously females. I want to see athletes pissed at each other and getting in their face and, punching walls and all that kind of stuff more than I want to see pissing in food.
Last thing from me. Riddick Bowe, can you believe it? He lost. He lost his.
Really?
He lost his Muay Thai. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. He put up a valiant effort.
Those leg kicks.
He had a tough time defending the leg kick.
How about the first leg kick?
Look at all of them.
No, the first one was classic.
He didn't land anything.
Did you watch it close?
Yes.
No, close.
Yeah.
The first leg
see
kick.
His face?
He looked at him like, "What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What's that?"
Yeah. A fight's a fight. I'll just show up.
I'll throw a couple punches and such.
Unbelievable.
So, all right, well, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. The download will be available here shortly. I want to thank MMA Weekly, of course. I want to thank everybody back at the main studio over there at Radio I.O. Hit us up on Twitter at Knockout Radio. Anybody?
At KO Eggs.
Sean, KO Radio.
At DCUCULICH.
What's this, the first time we've given out our Twitters? Don't go anywhere. Radio I.O. continues.
Like a bloodstained hurricane, leave me alone, let me